So everybody's dream, I think everybody's dream would be, I want all my financial problems gone, and tomorrow morning I wake up, check my bank account to figure out how I'm going to pay rent or make my mortgage payment, and the bank made a mistake. There's 10 million new dollars in my account, and I know I didn't put it there. Happy days are here again.
A good day, right? That's a good day.
What on earth am I going to do today? Well, my name's Don Creech.
And I'm Perry Sykes, and welcome to the Investor Resources Podcast.
And we know what the average person typically is going to do when they get through the euphoria of calling their boss and saying, I'm not coming in today. And in fact, I am never, ever coming in again today because I am now financially wealthy and I don't need you anymore, you old son of a gun, you.
There you go.
Well, we get past that, and actually, there are people who have big windfalls, some of whom get there because they've worked hard for them. Before we started recording, we were talking about professional sports athletes.
Sure.
A lot of them make tons of money in very brief periods of time. Now we say, okay, so that's not a windfall. The guy's on a pro football team or a pro baseball or basketball, and those two sports have a little longer longevity in the field than the guys on the front line of a football. You know,
Right.
the quarterback and the backfield lasts longer, so maybe they're going to do better. But the fact is, this is a huge amount of money in a very brief period of time. The other side of that example is the lottery winner who suddenly ends up with $5 or $10 million. And there's a lot of research on people that get those large sums of money and how it impacts their lives. One of the first things that happens is the phone starts ringing.
and you thought you didn't have any friends. Yeah. Everybody's your friend, and they're all going to give you a call, and the first thing out of their mouth is always the same thing. Hey, we won the lottery. and you're of course thinking, no, I won the lottery.
Yeah, but I loaned you the $10 to buy the ticket. You were going to split it with me. Remember? You don't remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the way it happened. But so what really happens with it? There is a common mantra that if you win the lottery, it's not going to change your lifestyle because you'll be bankrupt within a period of 5 years. And there is research that documents only about a third of the people who win the lottery go bankrupt in a period typically less than 5 years.
Right.
So what happens to the other 2/3? Well, interestingly enough, somewhere along the line before they threw $10 at lottery tickets, they had some hard lessons. They worked for what they had. They had been probably in some bad experiences, deep financial holes, and worked their way out. And what's all that worth? What it is worth discipline. You learned how to manage money, which is something they don't teach you in any level of education unless you seek it out because you want to be self-disciplined in your mony management.
Correct.
And that's a rare individual.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that way in a capitalist country. You know, if our goal is to acquire, produce, and grow income and money, we should teach, especially students, what to do with it, and we don't do that. But that's a whole different story. But that's part of the problem. If all of a sudden you get a big windfall and you've never had money in your entire life, you literally do not know what to do with it. And the first thing that crosses your mind is probably, well, that's it, I'm set. I'm done. I just won $5 million. I never would have made that money in my life. Therefore, not only do I not have to ever work again, I don't have to worry about how much I'm spending. And unfortunately, in the world today, no matter how much money you have, there is someone willing to show you how to spend it, plus a lot more than you've got. So you can burn through any amount of money. And like you said, Don, you were talking about pro athletes. You can talk to a long, long list of pro athletes that have made lots and lots of money. Mike Tyson comes to mind. He retired making well over $300 million in his career, completely 100% bankrupt, all gone, all of it gone. And lucky for him, not a dumb individual. Get bounced back. Got an acting career going on right now, and he's doing fine. But all the boxing money's gone. The first of which he started winning at 20 years old, had no idea what to do with it, and had no help except from people who were willing to help him spend it, and that can be a problem, and that's what you need to look out for, and that's what you need to think about, even if you don't win the lottery, even if you just have a great investment decision and you end up with a windfall profit. All of a sudden, I'm sitting on a big gainer here. What are you going to do with that? And that's when your mind can get quite clouded by fear and greed, and you need to take a step back and really think about what you're doing.
Well, another way in which this happens is somebody receives a large inheritance.
Oh, sure.
They haven't, perhaps their parents came from the generation, which in this case would be the case. I mean, if you're dealing with parents who came up in the Great Generation, I mean, they fought World War II and they're still alive, typically that's where the largest amount of money was. I'm not sure that's true. The largest amount of money, I think, is attributed to the boomer population. But if you had an entrepreneurial grandparent from the Great Generation, they had money to pass on, and perhaps your folks have money to pass on. It gets divided among the kids. But all of a sudden, here's this big chunk of money, and many times those parents didn't take time to educate. They didn't prepare the next generation for money management. So now you receive this inheritance. You fought with your siblings, and you end up with your share or your whatever you deem to be your fair share, hopefully. And now, what do? It's the same thing you just said that these athletes have. I'm rich. I can do what I want. If I'm working, I can retire now because I'm going to have income for the rest of my life. And in some cases, if it's large enough, that might be the case. But more often than not, what happens is that you end up spending capital. And I find that in counseling with clients where they have received an inheritance and say, well, I want a dividend portfolio so that I've got this income and I don't have to work. Well, how much income do you want? Well, I want 100,000 a year. And how much money do you have? Well, I just inherited $1.5 million. Well, even if the high interest rates of a few years ago were still present, it's not going to get you your $100,000 a year. In fact, I have a client now who's retiring and he spends $1 million a year. Not 100,000, he spends $1 million a year. And he's going to quit working because he thinks he can maintain his lifestyle. Now, he does have some pension income and stuff, but even with that, it doesn't fund his lifestyle during his working career. This is a major transition, and all of a sudden you're faced with, what do I do now? I mean, I've already blown a bunch of money. I could have saved it. This is the classic woulda, coulda, shoulda problem.
Sure.
If only I'd understood back then what I now am faced in reality, I would have made better decisions. Well, there's no better time to make those better decisions than right now and to re-examine exactly what we're doing with the money. Even when we turn around and look, as I frequently tell people, we are at the beginning of a new bull market. Artificial intelligence is changing the world. Now, clearly there's some negatives to it, but also there are unexplored positives that this is a new type of industrial revolution and offers substantial rewards in the capital markets over the next couple of decades.
Sure.
But it doesn't mean you can spend it today. It means you have to be disciplined with your commitment to the market and your willingness to make some adjustments, because not everything, particularly in this environment, is going to be a winner. There'll be a lot of losers. In fact, Perry, you and I were in the market back in the 2000, the tech bubble, and you look at all the companies that were hot names and were
Oh,
gathering money during the late 90s. And a few of them, I mean, if it was .com, it was supposed to be the new investment and it's going to change the world. And the internet did change the world. It was a new revolution. It was a new 20-year bear market.
all that part was true. Yeah.
But when it got down to 2000 and they had to actually show that they were making money, there was an awful lot of screens that were exposed to have nothing behind them. There was
Right.
promotion, advertising, and a website with no business plan and no profits, no earnings, no sales. That was so. I don't know what the actual number of bankrupt .com companies was 3 years
Yeah.
later at the bottom, but it was huge. I mean, the
It was.
Nasdaq lost 87% over 2.5 years in that period of time. We are not in that same situation today because actually these AI companies, many of them actually have a business plan. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming to market today.
That's a significantly different situation. That's right. If you have a high valuation because you're actually making a lot of money, that's the opposite of what was going on during the tech bubble when things were just blowing up. Uh, the first one that just came to mind was drugstore.com. Drugstore.com. I remember them talking about like that, like it didn't matter what they did. They had sussed out the best URL that would ever be gotten. They're going to own the entire drug industry. It's over. Drugstore.com owns it all. Everybody else just try to figure out what's going on. Anybody ever use drugstore.com? What anybody even know what that is? I don't even know if it's still active or not. But that was it. It was gonna kill the world, and nobody knew what they were looking at. It was assumptions about the future, and then it turned out, well, what do you know? In the real world, you have to have a real business, you have to have real profits, real sales, and a real manner in which to sustain your business. Many of the AI companies today, whether they're actually using AI or producing the machines that AI runs on, they're doing very well because they're at the top of the field. They're at the front of the pack because they've got the goods, and everybody else is trying to catch up. That's very different, and it's actually very comforting that that is real business, and it's not just anticipating the world's about to change again, which it probably is. But it's not changing on a pipe dream. This is not smoke and mirrors. This is a real thing. And you go look at Nvidia's bottom line. It's like, well, no company can grow that fast. It's like, oh yeah, look at that. They're really growing that fast, and it's all organic growth. It's not bizarre accounting. It's like, oh, they're making money hand over fist because they have the stuff everybody wants to buy. That's a
Well,
much better situation.
and some of the companies that are household names, Amazon for one, and Google another. And and this last week we've had Oracle with a major announcement.
Big
The
winner.
stock rose significantly. So there
Yep.
are companies that actually know, at least in the beginning phase, of how they're going to implement this, and it's going to show up in the bottom line. And then we look across the broader market, and something close to 80 or 90% of the companies that are incorporating AI are still learning how to use it or figuring out what it is they are going to do with it when they learn how to use it.
Right.
So the real development and the process of providing a benefit to an eventual consumer, whether it's a business or an individual, is yet to come. And there's a
Correct.
massive amount of growth that lies ahead. And that's why it's important for you to understand financial discipline and not be a lottery winner who blows their money because they suddenly found that one company that catches everybody's attention, and you suddenly are with with a friend of mine who bought Amazon years ago and is up over 1,000%. Well, it would be really easy to say, I'm set for life. The problem is she didn't buy all that many shares. She bought what she could afford, but she
There you go.
loves the fact that she made a good decision. Make good decisions. They require discipline in the beginning and in the follow up in order to not lose it. If you have questions, want to talk to us, you want to take a look at your portfolio, we're money managers. Give us a call, contact us. Contact information's right down here. Subscribe to our YouTube, you'll get more information. But stay in touch with us. We will be back, and have a great day.